I don't know if any of you remember, but when a little film called Creed was first announced, a lot of people thought it was the dumbest idea ever. I mean, set to serve as both a spin-off and sequel to the original Rocky films, the whole thing sounded like a bad excuse to capitalize on the established name and an obvious cash grab. However, to everyone's surprise, the film actually ended up being pretty good and fit quite well into the Rocky universe, not only finding a way to expand upon the original series in a meaningful way, but still having a life of its own. Flash forward to 2018, and we are now met with its sequel. The question on everyone's mind, therefore, is whether this film will be as much of a knockout as the first, or fail to stack up. Having just seen the movie, I'm here to try and help give some insight into Creed 2. So without further ado, let's jump in. Set 3 years after his breakout fight against Pretty Ricky Conlon, Creed 2 begins with Adonis Creed winning the World Heavyweight Championship, and after proposing to his girlfriend Bianca, seemingly obtaining everything he has ever wanted. However, unknown to him is that Ivan Drago, the man who killed his father in the ring 3 decades prior, is bitter about his loss to Rocky and has been biding his time to reclaim his legacy. Having spent the last few years training his son to be an unstoppable fighting machine, he sees Adonis' rise to fame as the perfect opportunity to call the fighter out. And so, when Viktor Drago, the son of the man who killed his father, challenges Adonis to a fight, his world is flipped upside down as he is faced with a challenge that he feels he cannot refuse, even if it means losing everything he has worked for. Starting with the positives, one thing that I really enjoyed was the fight scenes. While there might not be anything quite as impressive as that one-take fight from the first, the fights are still raw and totally brutal. It's the kind of thing where you know none of the stuff is real, and yet you could almost feel the punches when they landed. I mean, there were seriously some instances of characters receiving blows that made the theater audience audibly wince in unison, and I thought that this dedication and not shying away from how vicious the punishment boxers go through was quite impressive. Not only that, but with some cool POV shots and everyone's favorite ring announcer Michael Buff making an appearance, the fights were hype as hell and had me pumped. Another thing that I enjoyed about the film was the characters. Whether it was Adonis Creed having to deal with the pressure of feeling like he needs to avenge his father at all costs, Rocky being torn between wanting to protect Adonis and helping him fight back, or Ivan Drago pushing his son to bring honor back to the family name, it felt like there was a real history between the characters, and real stakes. I mean, while the idea of one guy's son fighting another guy's son from a movie from over 3 decades ago sounds absurd, Creed 2 does a great job of making you invested in what is happening. Surprisingly, that even includes some sympathetic backstory for Ivan and Viktor Drago. While in the original, Ivan was displayed as quite simply the enemy, here we see how Ivan Drago's loss to Rocky led him to lose everything, and because of that, when he and his son show up for a fight, we actually understand the reasoning for wanting to win so badly. This, of course, ties into my final point, which is how I continue to enjoy how the Rocky series is not just about fighting in the ring, but fighting against the hardships in your life as well. Not only do we have the very obvious fight 33 years in the making between Adonis and Viktor, and all the personal baggage that comes with it for all involved, but the way that we also return to stuff in Rocky's personal life was really good too. Not to get too into specific details, but I think that the way they bring up his strained relationship with his son in a movie that places such a heavy emphasis on father-son relationships made sense, and I was quite happy with where they took that plot point. Seeing how characters in the series grow, and how even Rocky himself continues to fight to improve parts of his life is quite great. And these small moments really help to give each entry in the series a very down-to-earth and personal feel. Opposite all these positives, there are some negatives however, so to parrot what I have heard many critics say, Creed 2 is a bit formulaic and predictable. By this I mean that if you have ever seen a Rocky movie, then you kind of know what to expect, and can probably guess where the story is going to go. Will Rocky get into an argument with the character, pushing them away for some time? Of course. Will there be a big training montage before the final fight? You bet. Does someone go to the cemetery and talk somberly with the gravestone at some point? I mean, yeah, it happens twice actually. However, while I understand what critics mean, and I think they're totally justified in saying this, I feel like it doesn't take away from the overall experience too much, honestly. I mean, while it would have been kind of cool to have walked out of the theater completely mind blown by some twist I didn't see coming, or really impressed with something new I didn't expect, I feel like what makes the series work is the formula. And as long as you keep this in mind, you will have a good time. So in the end, while Creed 2 does sometimes fall into some pitfalls of being a bit predictable and sticking to the formula that the Rocky series is known for, I don't necessarily see this as a bad thing. Filled with some hype fight scenes, characters that are worth investing in, and great moments outside of the ring that shows you the everyday struggles of life, I feel that Creed 2 is a knockout hit and a film that I recommend. If you enjoyed the first Creed film, or are a longtime fan of the Rocky series, then I am sure that you will love this one. But hey, that's just my opinion. And remember, don't take anything I say too seriously. After all, I'm just a wannabe reviewer. Thanks for watching.